academic writing. In this session, I shall be speaking about the significance, structure and mechanics of writing a dissertation. Writing a dissertation forms an important aspect of academic writing. After this session, the learners would be able to know the important aspects of writing an effective dissertation by familiarizing the mechanics of writing and have a fair amount of knowledge about the style sheet that is required for writing a dissertation. Writing a dissertation is an integral part of the research process, and if any learner has already begun writing any literature review, any research proposal, a report of a pilot study, an abstract for a conference, a report for supervisor, a learning journal to keep the ideas, or a presentation notes for reference, he has already begun to write the dissertation. However, to understand the concept of dissertation, dissertation means an extended piece of writing based on broader research and reading on any academic subject and the level of study which defines the requirements of a dissertation. Basically, dissertations are written at three levels: at undergraduate level, at postgraduate level, and at the doctoral level. At the undergraduate level, a learner aims to develop an intellectual independence by specializing in depth in a topic of interest, mostly using secondary sources or by using the existing scholarship to develop his own or her own critical analysis. But at the master's level, the learner aims to produce or to identify a specific collection of primary sources or data requiring more extensive reading and research to put his or her own critical interpretations of sources into the context of existing scholarship. However, at the doctoral level, the candidate aims to make original contribution to the existing knowledge on a research topic, and he also attempts to identify and fill the knowledge gap through primary source research. However, a dissertation would have a flexible outline based on the requirements as well as the recommendations of the supervisor. A fair dissertation will have the following components, either based on logic or on the basis of the flow of thought or the argumentation. A dissertation begins with an identification of research problem and identification of research questions, which are further divided into primary research questions and secondary research questions, which determine the nature of the objectives of the study, followed by the framing of the thesis statement. However, this thesis statement is also an attempt to relate the primary questions and the significance that is found out through the review of literature. And further, to connect the review of literature and the research gap, a suitable method is adopted and methodology is conceived, and findings and logic of the arrangement of the chapters determine the research design. However, a dissertation concludes with the scope and the limitations and the conclusions that are followed by the study. However, before we begin the writing of our own dissertation, we need to identify what is the research problem, and that research problem can be assessed or analyzed or interrogated, that can reveal or bring out a semblance of truth, or that can be a phenomena that can be measured or examined. The thesis statement illumines the subject and the objectives of the study in the title itself, which is based on the review of literature. However, a word of caution must be exercised to limit to the word limit and the logical and conceptual arrangement of the chapters. An important aspect of writing a dissertation would be to include in-text citations, works cited, and the bibliography. So, we begin writing our dissertation with a literature review and making of notes by identifying the research gaps. This supports in formulating our research problem. After identifying the necessary and the required sources, we set for answering the research questions, whether they are primary questions or the secondary questions. However, a suitable methodology also demands that the necessary sources are cited and the required style sheet is also followed. Thus, a dissertation concludes with the list of works cited and compilation of a complete working bibliography. Once literature review is drawn, we need to develop an argument which is very specific to research or worth researching, and we need to justify and explain the need for research. This would lead us to identify the method of analysis which is appropriate for interpreting a particular phenomena or drawing conclusions that are reasonable and valid. So we need to engage with the published work which are part of literature review. A candidate attempts to agree or accede, defend, confirm a particular point of view through his dissertation. By acceding or confirming a particular point of view, a candidate is proposing a new point of view and formulating existing point of view. Sometimes researchers also write their dissertation to dismiss a particular point of view on account of the previous inadequacies in the knowledge and the knowledge gap, or by overcoming irrelevance of the arguments in the previous studies. So there can be a possibility of either rebuting the previous stand or proposing a new idea. Thereby a candidate attempts to develop a new point of view in his dissertation. Thus, a dissertation acquires a new significance for the study. And while writing the significance of the study, a candidate attempts to state specifically how and what his study would contribute and how it would benefit the other learners. And thereby, the candidate attempts to provide specific contributions to the study identified by him either through observations or by establishing corresponding relationship between the statement of the problem and the significance of the study. While writing the significance of the study, a candidate attempts to write from general to specific contribution similar to an inverted pyramid approach. Thereby, the candidate has identified the key aspects like research problem, methodology, literature review, arrangement of chapters, focusing on the key findings and the methods involved for the study and the findings of the study just before the conclusions are drawn. However, while writing the dissertation, the mechanics of writing are very important as per the style sheet followed. The mechanics of writing include spelling, punctuation, italics, names of persons, numbers, titles of works, quotations, capitalization, margins, text formatting, heading and title, page numbers, tables and illustrations. However, a final copy of the dissertation would be better appreciated with a proper binding and without any corrections. For example, this MLA Handbook on Writing Research Papers, the 8th edition demands that font should be of Times New Roman, size 12 with line spacing of 2 and margin of 1 inch in all sides, justified only to the left. This is only an example, and there are other research style sheet exist for the benefit of the candidates. And citations are an important aspect of the dissertation. Citations are necessary because a candidate has to explain an argument, and the citations are evidences to such an argument, and that's why citations validate an argument. And citations also provide a justification, also provide evidences, also authenticate the arguments of the researcher, and they also provide the structure to an argument so that the dissertation is free from plagiarism. However, the core elements of a dissertation in the process would demand the acknowledgement of the author, title of the source, title of the container, other contributors, versions, number, publisher, publication date, and location to be included in any citation. Once these informations are drawn from the sources that are used for the study, a detailed structure of the dissertation can be easily drawn. However, the candidate has to make a comprehensive list of all the elements and ideas and use the concept maps and link all the elements by listing the main chapter headings with subheadings in the order of appearance, either as a process or in the act of arrangement of logical order. So a candidate is free to use subheadings and coherent descriptions for the chapters, thereby he can proceed towards editing the dissertation. So the structure of the dissertation would require the title page, abstract, acknowledgement, content pages, introduction, followed by the chapters on literature review, which would include sources and methods, and findings before the conclusions. However, a word of caution is necessary because a dissertation should be free from plagiarism. So it is expected by the examiners that candidates should have originality of thought, novelty of study, and there must be utmost research integrity by complete adherence to research ethics and free from plagiarism, so that softwares like Turnitin and Urkund are introduced for the benefit of the researchers. To summarize, I would say a researcher should plan and structure the dissertation, argue effectively, fill in the details and document the relevant sources, and he or she is also expected to validate the propositions, edit or re-edit wherever it is necessary before its final form, and check and proofread through softwares like Grammarly or other software. With these words, I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you.